to do it. And that's how we have survived. But actually what's going to happen to this building, because it's prime real estate, is going to be a political issue. Because if it's taken away from the community, then you won't have a center, cultural center. And already that was put, that's under the laws of the voting power during the time that the council members, Mayor Koch was in power. So I don't know how they're going to get around that. The fact is that EDC is economic development. It's not culture. So you can't, how would I say this? How come you have Bach and you have Mozart? They used to go play for the kings and queens and whatever. Other people, they're very advanced in their art, but it doesn't hit off with the time. And then later, after a few years or God knows how many years, all of a sudden it pops up because it goes with the time. So so you're really doing something really terrible politically with this building. You know what I mean? And it's really sad because in any other country or all over the world, we tend in the United States, conserve the Indians, do this, do that. But what about preservation of the neighborhood and the history of that neighborhood and whatever was happening during what period? We've been here 40 years. A lot of other organizations have gone under. Okay, so then how do you work both? Especially in Manhattan, when you talk about the arts, and that New York City is about the arts, you know what I mean? And how, what about tourism? What about, the neighborhood and stuff like that? If you take these, like especially the seniors that come here on Wednesday, for Salsa Wednesday, they want Salsa Wednesday because they don't have anywhere else to go. Anywhere else that you want to go, you're going to have to pay a lot of money to get in. Then you got to buy drinks, which are very expensive. And mainly they see this as a way of, that population, a way of their getting out of their home, getting out of their depressions because they don't have any money, they don't have any exercise, doing exercise at the same time. Because they, so it's a well-being as a whole. It's a way for them to see themselves with their people, And it's usually the same people, you know what I mean? So, like, we don't compete with other places that are around that are trying, like this, the lounge or whatever places. It's different, you know what I mean? You can't compare it. You can't compare it. And really, it's not like we're making a lot of money because we're not. You know what I mean? We're lucky we make $20 one night. So, you have to look at all of that. And I don't think EDC is interested in that, you know what I mean? Or how would I say, the lack of space for other artists or other people that are moving into the neighborhood or whatever. But, you can't forget, that we've been here 40 years, we stuck it out, and because of us, all these other satellites came about.
What she's talking about also, she brought a good point there, which is interesting. You people being part of the urban planning curriculum. How do you see? I'm not going to ask you a question, but she touched on something that I want to sort of like the turnaround, which is like the conflict between culture and development. As urban planners, you have to take that into consideration because you're going to be going into development, basically, And what's happening in New York City, which has happened since the beginning, it's always a turnaround culture. One comes, one goes. One comes, one goes. It's like round and round, round and round, round and round. Things get moved, communities get moved over here, this is built here. Robert Moses built the whole west side with Lincoln Center and moved people. He did the Cross Bronx Expressway, moved people out they created Co-op City to house people. They created the projects to house all the people that were in tournaments and all that, which, you know, so that, it changed like the culture of this city was changed, you know, it's art, you know, it's community was changed.
Right, but it's preservation.
Yeah.
In other words, within the community and whatever everything else is being worked out, which people usually forget. You know, you take the Amazons, for example. Oh, they're cutting down the trees, they're doing this, what's going to happen with the indigenous population, blah, blah, this. So then everybody gets, you know, wow, wait a second, we got to do something, you know what I mean? Or like here in the United States, you know, like they push the Indians towards the reservation or whatever. Each group that has come here as an immigrant has tried to carve an in within the culture because of what they bring in and the things they change and all that, which later becomes part of the fabric of being American. Okay, because after all, we might be Boricuas, but we are Americans. You know, we were given the American citizenship, and you know, all those things are going to play into that. So then, how, as a community, you come in and you preserve certain things, because by preserving those things, which is part of the history, it's part of the history, it's part of all of that, and you can't make it blend or say disappear, because something else is gonna, always something is gonna pop up. So if you pop up, great, because you'll have more, and you put it within that other fabric that's in there. But you cannot make it bland, you know, like it won't have any spirit. You understand what I'm saying? It will be just like something in there, and what, you know, it has no tiene amor, no tiene all the other things that you know, and it's not like it's gonna disappear. You know, I know I'm gonna die one day, you're gonna die one day, and somebody else is gonna come. But the essence of certain things is still gonna be around. You know what I mean? And that's what we need to preserve at the same time that we preserve and we welcome new communities to come in and making new things. So you got to somehow weave it in into the whole purpose. But you can't, like what EDC, you know, whichever way it happened, is that, okay, we're getting you guys out and we're doing something else because politically somebody felt like economically, politically, whatever, I feel like doing this and that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, that's wrong. I think that we have, you know, within the structure in the city, there's got to be laws that protect certain things within that community. You know what I mean? You just can't.